17th. It is 10:40 at night. I thought I would update you on what I got done today because it was a lot. So I finished the ornament that I'm giving to my maternal grandparents. I haven't worked on the sparkly hat for my cousin at all. I'm gonna have to finish it this week, but that's fine. I started a washcloth for my family, and then I realized I need the needles for something else, and I remembered that Christmas with my immediate family, so my parents, my brother, and my husband, is on the 29th, and I was like, so if I need these other needles for the 24th, and I'm gonna make some washcloths by the 29th, I can just take those to the cabin I'm staying in for 3 days with my friends and make them there while we watch a movie or something. So I put it on a spare needle and we'll worry about that later. So, good update from today. Last night I finished more of the cable repeats of my mother-in-law's sock. I only had 4 rows left to go, but I had to go to bed. So then today I got done all of this on the sock. I finished the cables this morning, worked on the heel, turned the heel after work, worked on the gusset, and then finished the gusset and did about 20 rows of the foot while we were Christmas shopping. I know I look like an insane person. People never really say anything to me. They must just think I'm too weird to talk to. Sometimes I get comments, but I just look like I know what I'm doing so clearly when I knit at the store. I knit at the grocery store all the time. I knit a sock at World Market while we shop for Christmas presents every year, less than a week before Christmas. I think they assume maybe I'm behind on Christmas gifts, which is accurate. But yeah, I just knit while I walk with the ball of yarn in my coat pocket. I follow my husband around. He pushes the cart. He picks out most of the stuff. I pick out a little bit. Either that or I just carry the yarn against my side like this under my elbow while I knit. Actually, I had it all in a bag this time for a while, but by the time we were done shopping, I had just put this in my coat pocket. So that is pretty successful. I've made myself set this down because my extended family, my cousins, we're all pretty local here, which is nice. So we're having Christmas. We don't really do that many gifts anymore. It's just grandma likes everybody to be together, you know? So we're doing that on Saturday, and I was like, well, I'm just ribbing the rest of the foot of this sock, so I can basically finish a lot of that on Saturday night and then wrap it up on Sunday or Monday if I have to at that point. So since I have a plan for that, I've made myself set it down. I was sitting around today before we were going to the store, well, multiple stores that we were Christmas shopping at. We went to World Market and Home Goods for a few things, and Barnes & Noble, and got a bunch of books for people, so it was pretty successful. We also went to Menards. My husband keeps on getting more Christmas lights for our house, and he had run out, so that's where we were today while I was knitting my sock. But before we left, I was just feeling really scrappy, and I was looking at my scraps again, and I was like, I have time to make our niece a sweater. I do. She's only 3, and I just have to finish that sock and make some things after Christmas for my family and knit 12 grams of a stockinette hat, and I'm done. I'm done with Christmas, basically. And so the one maybe thing I was still gonna make is a sweater for my niece. So I was thinking about maybe doing the Ingrid sweater. I think that's the scrappy, stripy one by Petite Knit. Now, I've never made a Petite Knit pattern before. The problem with that, it's a round yoke, and I just don't like round yokes. So I went right to Petite Knit to look at her junior sweaters. And there's a pretty new release in the junior size called the Cross Sweater. I think that's what it's called. Indeed, it is the Cross Sweater Junior. So it basically is exactly what I need. It uses about 150 grams of the main color, which I have this grayish purplish color. I thought it would be a light gray, but in the camera it looks more purple than in real life, but it's just purple enough that it doesn't read as gray. And I had gotten these for her baby blanket originally and then rejected them, and I used a little bit of it, I think, in my own spring doodle cowl, but I have a bunch of it left, and I was like, I just need to make a kid's sweater with this because I don't know what else to do with it. This is my little 2x2 gauge swatch. It's perfect. So this is one of my contrast colors. This is the one for like the yoke and then the cuffs. I'm going to use white as the stripes. And then for the crosses, I have this dark purple acrylic that I've had in stash for a really, really, really long time. I wish I had a different color than this pink, but I mean, she's pretty girly, so I think the pink works, and I think it will look pretty on her. The pink's also a little bit thick, so the gauge is too thick just on the pink part, but for the rest of it, it's fine. And it's actually fine that the top of it's going to be a little bit loose because I was thinking of making her a size 4 to 5 years, and I did decide against it, but it's fine that it'll be loose on top because then it will fit her longer next winter. I'm feeling pretty good about this so far. This is what I got done today. The back of this that's just stockinette, I actually did like in the car on the way. First we went and got some Mexican food before we actually went shopping. So I did that in the car, and then some at the restaurant, and then the rest of it at Menards. And then I just left it in the car at that point. Got home, did the color work, finished up the back of it, and now I'm about to do some of the neck increases on the first shoulder. I was hoping I could maybe even join the yoke tonight, but I'm too exhausted, and I have bar class in the morning, and I told Aaron, well, I didn't really tell him, he like begged me to get up really early tomorrow when he does to help get like the rest of the lights on the house. I don't really know what he needs me for. I think just for like safety reasons. So yeah, this has been our Tuesday update. I got a lot done today. I still need to make the gnome. That's the other thing I still have to make. So the gnome is for the mother of the girl I'm making this little sweater for. So I guess they're the people I procrastinated the most. And a hat from my sister-in-law. But that's fingering weight held double. I have a lot to do. I have a lot to do in the next 7 days. It's not that bad. Finish the sock, this kid's sweater, a gnome, and a hat. I can do that. And that other hat has to get finished. So 5 things. No big deal. We're staying calm. We're calm. Hello. It's the 19th. I'm finishing my cousin's hat. This is the dumbest looking thing I've ever seen in my life, but yet when you fold it into a hat shape, it makes so much sense. So it's really just a good example of trust the process. I had weighed my yarn after I did the increases when I started it, so then that helped me decide when to do the decreases. So this is my leftover couple meters of yarn. I don't think I would have been able to do like another full row of like with all the stitches with this. Therefore, I did a good job with the decreases. I was stressing out about how much yarn I still had and how I had a lot to knit, blah blah blah, for most of the process of this. And then yesterday I weighed my yarn and I had 18 grams. And I was like, oh, I have so much left to do. So I knit for a while, and then all of a sudden today I had 12, and I was like, I have to start the decreases soon. And then I knit a little bit, and then took it to the grocery store and knit a little bit in line, and then I weighed it when I got home, and it was like 9.5, and I was like, whoop, time to do some decreases. Okay. What the heck? Why is this so hard? Why is this so difficult? I should have folded it while it was like open. There we go. Okay, I sewed the two points at the top of the hat together. So we have two options. We have like this super slouchy option, or you can fold the brim over and have it be more fitted. But it's nice and wide and stretchy to fit over her ears. I think she has a pretty wide forehead like I do, so I have to make sure it gets down below the ears over all of the head. I think it'll be good. I'm pleased. And of course it has that little sparkle that she's so excited about. Glitter, glittery, glittery. There we go. Hat is done. The following knitting interruption has been brought to you by United Airlines. Thanks for nothing, United Airlines. Alright, so the good news is one of the sleeves is done. I'm on the second sleeve. So this is not that far away from being finished. The bad news is our international student who's been staying with us, she was out of state visiting a family friend. She got on her flight back, connection through Chicago O'Hare. That's really normal. It's kind of hard to get to smaller areas of the US without like connecting through a major airport. So the one usually that you connect through for us is O'Hare. So she's at O'Hare last night, like she's supposed to be, and they board a bit late, and we had weather here, so it's not really a surprise. And then so they board them onto the plane, take them on the runway, and so it says on Google that their flight left. So I thought she was coming, but they kept delaying what time it was going to get here. And so eventually we went to the airport to wait for her. And then it's like 12:30 a.m. and we find out that their flight never took off and now it's been canceled. And so she's just stuck in O'Hare. So the friend that had been booking all these flights for her couldn't rebook her to come specifically here until like 3 days from now. Like there was no flights available because it's almost Christmas and everyone's traveling this weekend, and there's just not that many flights to here, honestly. So they tried to get her a hotel. I guess that didn't work out. Her SIM card is like expired, so she can only talk to us when she's on Wi-Fi with Facebook Messenger. And I had told her, I'm like, I don't think it's a good idea for you to fly across the country and back without a working SIM card. I really think that you should have a working SIM card. And she is an adult, she's in college, and so she doesn't have a working SIM card because she didn't take my advice. And that's fine. But it does make us nervous because she's 19 and she's from Vietnam and she's alone at O'Hare and her phone barely works. So she's going to be flying to Milwaukee now, and there's not really like anybody else reliably that can pick her up. She maybe could take the Amtrak, but it doesn't go straight here. It would take her downtown first and then bring her here, but it even says that like that bus is canceled today. So I am going to start driving towards Milwaukee and hope that her flight actually takes off this time. And if it doesn't, I'm going to wait around there. And if it's canceled, then I'm just going to go get her from O'Hare, because I don't really have another choice. And honestly, I don't know how much they paid to fly her now to Milwaukee. Now, that's the dumbest thing ever. Like, flying Chicago to Milwaukee. You're in the air for an hour. You can, by the time you've, like, waited for your plane and stayed overnight not sleeping and not eating, you could just drive there. Of course, she can't drive because she doesn't know how to drive. And she's doesn't have a driver's license, even though she did know how to drive. And doesn't have a way to rent a car because she's too young. And her phone doesn't work. So It's not like a good situation. I think I fell asleep around 2 because we were all like, I'm texting the friend now and like messaging the student and like trying to figure out like what the plan is. So I didn't really sleep, but I'm gonna pack up a lot of my knitting so I have something to do while I wait for her. At least I got a lot of the sleeve done. This second sleeve I started while I was like at home. Yeah, I picked up the rest of the stitches for this sleeve while I was at home yesterday eating a late dinner, waiting for her flight to say that it took off. And it said that the flight left. So by the time we finally went to the airport thinking that it was going to be getting there, I was like halfway done with the sleeve, and then I finished all of the single color that I could at the airport and switched back to working on the body. I was like, so I'm gonna get to Christmas Eve and I'm gonna tell them, well, I wasn't gonna finish the sweater, but it was the only thing I had at the airport. And we all know how that went. So your sweater's done because the student has the worst luck with flights. And her flight there on Monday was canceled as well for fog. We had crazy fog here in the area that like swept in just as I was taking her to the airport. And then I had to go back and get her. This poor student. I really feel bad for her. She must be very anxious. I'm currently making her like rice because she really misses what for her is like normal food, which is rice with like boiled carrots in it and like a little, like some kind of like chili sauce or like sweet and sour sauce, like green onions. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that she's been cooking with, so I'm just like putting a bunch of that into some rice, and then I also steamed some eggs in her rice cooker, which I've never done that before, so hopefully it turns out okay. So today, I guess you get to come with me and watch me knit at another airport, even though that's what I did multiple hours last night. I'm going to be doing that again. Let me see. Now it's a little more than an hour late. They've just moved the takeoff time back another 15 minutes. This doesn't bode well. I think I'm just going to start driving south. I'm just going to get close enough that if they cancel it and I end up driving to O'Hare, I'm already part of the way there. I'm going to pack all my yarn and an overnight bag in case it gets so late that we have to stay with my aunt. And I don't know. What I do know is that I might finish this sweater today. And I'm going to bring the sock with me and maybe my washcloth and my hat supplies as well. We're going to see what we can get done. So at this point, I have just everything for all of my projects. I'm just shoving into the same bag. I have all my needles and all my extra yarn and my notions and my little scissors. Here's the socks I'm working on. We're just gonna bring absolutely all of it. Great. Love that. This thing did an amazing job with the eggs. Honestly, I need one. Let's see how we did. Gorgeous. Alright, so we're just gonna put in all the stuff. This is not for you. It's not for you, baby. It's not for you. She's barely eaten, so I'm gonna bring her some real food. So I just have a lot of stuff I'm bringing. Her flight continues to be moved back a little bit. You can see how tired I am, oh my gosh. But I got a text from the lady who booked it that they're boarding right now. So hopefully they board the plane and then the plane takes off from the runway this time instead of boarding and just driving around the airport for 3 hours. Hopefully that today's the day. I drove about 45 minutes of the way to Milwaukee, and I'm gonna go to Target and shop a little bit for my husband. So I'm not really done getting him gifts yet. I might have beat some of the after-school Friday afternoon Target crowd, but I mean, I did not want to be Christmas shopping and driving and going to the airport on the Friday afternoon before Christmas. That, in my opinion, is not a good idea to be doing because of how many other people are doing it. But we have no choice. So, here we are at the Target. Well, the not as good news is I got basically no knitting done, although I've been relaxing here and now I'm Italian bind offing the second sleeve, so that's great. But the good news is the plane took off and went into the air and flew where it was supposed to fly, down to Milwaukee. And I had timed it right so that I did not get there early. I got there on time, so I had to drive around a second time, but then I've got her, picked her up, brought her home. She ate some food. Everything is great. Everything's fine. No emergency. Nothing actually wrong. Everything good. So that's great. What was annoying is that United Airlines didn't give them vouchers for food or help with a hotel or anything. They just drove them around the tarmac. They put them on a plane and drove them around the airport for 3 hours. They had to keep stopping and get more gas for the plane. They drove them around for a while, and then they were like, never mind, and they deplaned, and they're like, no flight for you. Are we going there tomorrow? No. Are we going there the day after tomorrow? No. Are we gonna help you with anything? No. Are we gonna give you a little piece of paper that says you can eat breakfast? No. So I'm upset with them that they stranded her in the middle of the night at O'Hare International Airport and did not provide her a snack or somewhere to sleep. So yes, she has not slept in 48 hours. Maybe probably less than that. She hasn't slept in 30 some hours. And she was starving. So I'm not your biggest fan right now, United Airlines. Next time I book a trip, I think it's going to be through American, Southwest, Allegiant. I don't think it's going to be through United Airlines. But it's fine. Everything's fine. I had a nice drive through the countryside. I got to see some of the sunset. Unfortunately, I got to drive into some of the sunset, which I didn't really enjoy. And I didn't get any knitting done. But everything's fine. Sleeves done. 2 sleeves. Just the body and the collar. There are 4 days until Christmas, and everything is fine. Everything is great. I am bringing you an update from the night of December 22nd. This sweater's almost done. I'm doing the double folded neckband right now. It's only the size 3 to 4 years. This seems really wide to me. And I ran out of this grayish yarn, this light purple yarn. I have a little bit left, but I didn't think I could do another row, another full row with it, so I had to stop. And so it might be a little cropped, but I think that's totally fine. Cropped stuff is in style right now anyway. I think it's just coming across as wide because it's like drop shoulder, and so there is supposed to be a lot of ease in it. Where is it? Oh, it's on the ground. All right. I am not even lying to you when I say that I did all of the purple crosses exactly as the pattern said. And when I finished it, this is like the extra part of my tail that was left over. I win at Yarn Chicken so often in this way. Iconic. Who is she? How does she do it? I don't know. I don't know how I do it. I guess I'm just a wizard or something. But that, like, I was just knitting the last purple row, and then I got to the end of it, and I was like weaving the end, and I was like, I stopped knitting the end of the row. I was like, great, done with the purple. And like at the end of my hand was just this. I was like, oh, oh, great. I was like, there was no stress, like not that much worry about it too, because I figured I probably could make it work. And I was just like, oh, didn't realize I was cutting it a little bit close there. So I did the Italian bind off. I'm bad at it. Like there's a part here that's like too loose, but I don't know why people think Italian bind off looks good. Is it just me? I don't think that looks good. I don't get it. It doesn't look good to me, but I just sometimes I do the Italian bind off anyway, even though I don't 100% understand it, because I'm just hoping that like maybe I'll understand it soon. Like maybe it will click. Maybe I just need to get better at it, and then I will think it doesn't look stupid. I don't know. So these are like what I'm knitting the last 5 rows of the inside of the collar with. So I'm running a little low. It's not concerning because I think I'll be fine, but I'm glad I was almost able to use up this pink. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with the rest of the scraps. So the reason I decided I had to work on this tonight instead of finishing the other 2 things on the needles right now, that at least one is laughably close to being done, and the other one would be really fun to like say I made it in one day. But the reason I had to do this instead is because this needs to be like washed and blocked and left to dry. So if I wait until the 24th, then it won't be dry in time for me to like put it in a box. So I need to finish it so that it can be, washed on the 23rd, and then it'll have time to dry out. My mother-in-law's sock is nearly done. I even cut the yarn because I'm going to use the leftovers to start like a hat with a bunch of sock scraps for my sister-in-law. I only have like 5 more rows of this to do. The reason I didn't just straight up finish it is we were going to their apartment, so I obviously couldn't bring this along, and the father of the kid that's getting this was there, but his wife wasn't coming, and I figured that was the case, and so I brought these scrap yarns over. This is all that's left of like this color, so that's pretty good because this is like the weirdest yarn ever. As you can see, it's very irregular in width. It's just one of those really weird yarns that was in style, like especially in the 2010s, but like I definitely bought it more recently than that, so I really don't know what I was thinking. This is the start of her gnome. I've been saying in like my last 3 videos that I'm going to make a gnome, and maybe you didn't believe me. Maybe you were like, what is she talking about? She's going to make a gnome. This is it. The pattern's actually for fingering weight, but I was like, I can just use any weight and it will just be a different size gnome. So this is like DK weight instead of fingering weight gnome. It's Nedward, spelled with a silent G. Nedward of Grindelwald or Grimblewald or something, by Imagine Landscapes. She has like a ton of gorgeous gnome patterns. The one thing I didn't do is stuff with like heavier stuffing at the bottom so that it will sit down. Obviously he still needs his beard, which is going to be gray because he's very old and wise in my opinion. And then he needs a nose, and then like arms, which hopefully I can use a lot of this left for the arms. It'll be like his sleeves. And then feet. And I think I'm gonna make the feet out of the blue. So I'm doing a decent job continuing my scrap busting progress in this regard. Yes, I did have to take a break from Mr. Nedward here because, no offense to him, but he doesn't need to be blocked. And this needs to be blocked, so I guess it takes priority. I think things are going to be great. I still have to make a hat for my sister-in-law. Although at this point, I'm wondering if she's flying through United or not. I'm not sure. Maybe her flight will get canceled too. And she's one of my best friends, and I can't wait to see her, so I would be devastated. But I guess maybe that's partly the reason subconsciously that I left her for last. She's the one who's like traveling in on the day of. So I have more time to like work on it right up until she gets off the airplane, basically. And she'll never even have to know because she's the one who's not here yet. So, yeah, considering that I made this today, it did take me 5 hours, but it was pretty simple. And some of that was a little more fiddly, and it's going to involve like sewing and like making decisions and stuff. And once I get the hat started and kind of decide on my gauge, I do not have to use my brain at all. I just get to knit in like a heavy DK weight, fingering held double, and I think that's gonna work up really fast for me. The other times I've knit with fingering held double, it's just like, it's wild how fast it goes. So I'm expecting that to be fine, and I'm looking forward to it. I am like slightly worried about running out of yarn for that. A little bit. I just haven't really weighed or done any math or planned for sure what it is I'm doing, but I do have like a fade of some different grays and then like a bolder blue for the part that's more by the brim set aside to make a hat. So I'm just gonna dive into that tomorrow and see what happens. Marling two different like sock yarns together that have flex in them is always just really fun. So I am thinking that I'm going to enjoy it, and I might actually be able to finish this collar tonight because I'm on the second to last row, and then I get to like bind off. So I'll try and film if I finish it. It's done. The back of it, it's a little weird there where I switch colors, but good. I really like how the increases on the neck are like inward a couple stitches so that you can actually see the line. That's really cute. All done. I think I can wait till tomorrow to wash it because I'm just too tired. Yay! This is one of those projects that I think looks super weird until the minute it's finished, and then it finally looks complete, and you're like, oh, that does look like the picture I saw when I decided to make this. It doesn't look stupid after all. It does look like it makes sense.